Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon affiliate site in the home and garden niche making more than $8,000 per month in net profit. The listing number for this is 40148. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. Now, we've got the seller, Richard, with us today to go through the site and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Richard.
Thanks for having me, Justin. Hi, everyone.
All right, man. So let's get into this. Do a quick introduction on kind of your background. Like, how did you get started building and running websites or online businesses?
Well, I'm actually one half of a team of two, and I've been in the game for about a year and a half now. And my business partner, Kevin, he's been running around with websites since 1999. In fact, he was had some AdSense, or wasn't AdSense back then, when he was selling clicks for a nickel. So he's been in the game for a little bit longer, on and off again. And recently, in the last sort of year and a half when I joined in, we've really hit the big time and sold everything up and moved to Thailand for a year and really started building these sites full time and getting right into it.
Yeah, it was great meeting up with you guys and hanging out a little bit in Chiang Mai. You know, Joe and I debate, what kind of roles we need to play in our business. And so we do kind of divvy them up both by skill sets and also just business needs. How do you guys split up the roles in your partnership? Like, what role do you play? What role does Kevin play?
Kevin is definitely the IT brains of the operation. He's got qualifications and knows a whole lot more than me about hosting and all the servers and running around with a bit of SEO. I'm a bit more of a marketing content kind of keyword research, monetization strategist, sort of jack of all trades kind of guy. So we just, from our natural skill sets, we kind of have pretty well-defined roles. It works well.
How did you guys come up with the idea for the site? I know this wasn't the first site you ever built, but what was it about this niche that got you into it?
I just loved how mainstream and broad a topic it was. I mean, everyone takes a shower, or hopefully takes a shower every day. So it was so many products at so many different price points. It really stood out to us when we started doing our research and development into those keywords. And just from a personal interest, one of my keys to happiness is a really good hot shower in the morning. So it kind of worked really well.
Yeah, that's one of those great idea times. So many people talk about getting, I had a really good idea in the shower. I was thinking about, I wanted to make sure when I got out, I wrote it down. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just, for me, I'm fresh in the morning. You can actually switch off and think about the day, and just really on song at that start, I think. Wakes you up.
So you've got most of the earnings in the site coming through Amazon, all of them actually. Just had a question, because I always think this is really interesting. How much of the earnings come from shower-related products that you're actually, promoting, and how many come from watches or CDs or crazy different products?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We've actually done some really in-depth analysis on it. Well, not too in-depth, but gone through as much as we can. And our best guess is about 80% of our sales are from items that on our site or are very closely related to the products. So in the bathroom products space. The other 20% is completely random. Grocery shopping, books, CDs, like you said, all the novelty items or adult items, which is always interesting to see come across your feed.
It's funny, we had a couple of Amazon links way back in the day on Empire Flippers, and they were for books or for something. I just put it in and was kind of testing through it, and we haven't had a whole bunch of sales through it. What we did, though, I don't think we actually sold those books at all. We sold other things. One time it was a $1,000 watch or something. We were like, what's going on here? Yeah. Pretty crazy. So most of the people, 80% or more, are buying the actual products that you're listing.
Yeah, that's right. It's really what we love about Amazon. They're just so good at selling to people. I love that the shopping cart's all taken care by the experts, really. Spend a lot of time on conversions, and they're really good at getting people to buy something. And even if they haven't been specifically looking for, they're not quite in the mood to buy your particular item, they might have been looking at something else, and Amazon's really good at suggesting those kind of items. So it's nice to get a 20% bump in your sales just for the sheer pleasure of putting people onto Amazon.
Yeah, when people talk about, and I think there is some opportunity for this, but if you have an Amazon affiliate site and you're thinking about converting it to a drop shipping site, let's say, and offering the products directly, one of the things you really have to consider is the fact that Amazon, they're gods at getting people to buy something, right? At showing them interesting products that they'd be interested in, related products, keeping them on board. They are masters at that. So if you're going to be selling a dropshipping product, you better be pretty hot and pretty on. You better have a pretty tight funnel, because even though your margins are better, you're also competing against that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about like the percentage you get, because Amazon is based on the number of products you've sold in a period of time. So like what percentage are you at on earnings on Amazon for this site?
Correct. So Amazon has a sliding scale commission depending on the number of items actually shipped in a month. And that starts at 4% and goes all the way up to about 8.5% for most items on our site. If you buy electronic items, then you only get a 4% commission, but we don't focus on that. With the site's currently running at 8.25%, so right at the very top end of it. So we're pretty happy with that.
Okay, cool. So, normally we say, look, if someone's at like 6.5%, and you're higher already, you have an opportunity to make more money. I would say if someone is lower currently, it's going to take a bit for them to get up to the sales, and then they can be at the 8.25%. Is that just based on sales from this, or is it based on other sales you have from other sites?
Just this site puts you in the 8.5%. So there's a good opportunity if you're a portfolio pool sort of investor, to say, if you can take another site that maybe has a very high priced item that doesn't sell as much, so you're only getting a 4 or 6% Amazon commission, throw this site in on your Amazon account and get an immediate 50% to 100% bump in your sales on the other site.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone's at 6% right now, if they end up buying the site, they may see a jump in their other site simply because, their percentage is going to go up. So I think that's really interesting whenever you're considering purchasing an Amazon site. I mean, if you, just say, for example, and this isn't the case in this instance, but if you are currently at 6%, you sell really high value, high dollar items, let's say $1,000 per, $800 per, it might actually make sense to buy a small site that's just cranking out Amazon sales to help get you up into those higher tiers, because it makes such a significant difference on your main money site.
Yeah, totally right.
Cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why you're selling this. So just keeping it and growing it out, and you're continuing to grow it out yourselves.
Yeah, it's a little bit part of our business strategy. We're quite good at building sites from the ground up, and then really our strategy is to then make them available for sale. The particular proceeds from this site is earmarked for some offline real estate. There's some quite good deals out in Australia at the moment that we're keen to pick up. So, yeah, that was the reason for this one to go.
It's interesting, the comparison between offline and online or virtual real estate. We know someone, we work with someone that, has made quite a bit of money in the, offline real estate market, and is taking that money and then diversifying via online real estate or online website purchases. And you guys are kind of doing the opposite. So you're taking your online virtual real estate profits and proceeds and investing in offline real estate. It's really interesting. I think the two compare really well. So you're going to take the cash. You're looking to buy some property in Australia that you've already got earmarked. But let's talk a little bit about the site history. Now, the site we have listed, it was built in January 2014. What was the trajectory of the business in the first couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months after building it?
It really took a fairly dedicated effort to rank for some quite competitive keywords. The site started to really generate some meaningful revenue about 3 months in. Beyond there was another significant bump 6 months in, and now finally that site's about a year old, a bit older than 12 months now. We're really starting to hit strides now and ranking for all the keywords we targeted. So it's kind of been a steady increase, and now still growing slowly as we continue to expand and rank for keywords.
That's one of the concerns of buying an Amazon site in January. We're recording this in January. You're worried that, there's a big lead up into the holidays, and that those earnings are, short term or short lived. But we've looked at your site, and it looks like the earnings are on track to do really well in January as well. So that's helpful. Depending on when the sells, the buyer can obviously take a look at most recent earnings to make sure that they're in line with expectations in terms of multiples and price points.
Yeah, we're hoping to do another 8,800 this month for January on the current numbers. It's looking really healthy again. We did quite a bit of analysis on our Christmas bump because we were wondering if people actually bought bathroom products as Christmas presents, right? And
Yeah.
we held at 80%. Still 80% of our items were bathroom related products in the tools or home improvement sort of categories on Amazon. So there wasn't as a significant bump for Christmas that we would have liked to see, unfortunately, for our bank balance anyway. But we did see buyers come in and convert a little bit better. We usually got, for every sort of 100 people we get onto Amazon for this site, we usually see about 18 orders. Christmas, that crept up to 22 orders. So, 22% sort of is a bit of a funny number because we can't always tell if who's ordering multiple items on the Amazon stuff.
So people are in a buying mood around Christmas. It's really weird if they're buying, toilet and shower related products in December.
Yeah.
That's some bad gift givers.
Yeah. Here, Mum, here's a toilet brush. Happy Christmas.
So tell me a little bit about what you learned from building the site that just worked. What was an absolute hit that you found with this website that you're going to apply or you would be willing to apply to other websites you build in the future?
Keeping the content simple and sort of really informative has been a really good thing for us. Keeping it like really on point. I mean, you can see some of these affiliate sites out there that may or may not be written by, not the best writer, and it can sort of be a little bit fluffy, airy-fairy, however you want to call it. Just keeping it simple on, the benefits, advantages of this particular product, or why you would pick a certain product over another product, depending on, electronic or handheld or all that sort of stuff. So the content is really strong, and we have built some other sites and followed the exact same sort of, we have a content guide now that we give to our writers, and following a kind of set formula on the site, which has worked really well. We get a really low bounce rate. It's less than 18% most of the time. And about a third of people who visit our site actually click on to Amazon. And then we said we kind of get about, 18% or thereabouts actually ordering something on Amazon. So the content on the site is really strong. Another really good thing is Kevin's done a lot of work on the site. So even though it is quite simple, it's WordPress and Amazon, he's done a lot of work to get the load times really, really quick. The design is really good, and the results have shown really to get a lot of traffic and a really good conversion rate.
So number one, avoid non-native English speaking writers. Make sure that the writing is clear, concise, but actually helpful to end users. And number two, significantly improve your page load time so that you don't get crappy bounce rates. Man, less than 18% bounce rate. Empire Flippers has a worse bounce rate than that. That's really fantastic.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of combination of things, of keyword research and the site sort of really being designed to get people onto Amazon.
So what have you tried with this website that you thought, man, this is going to be a winner, I can't wait to do this, and it just was a loser? Like, it didn't work out nearly as well as planned. What's
been a really interesting thing is recently adding the question and answers section. It's been a good little source for some free content. Some of the questions that can come through, I mean, you've probably experienced this on Empire Flippers, can be a little bit random, a little bit odd. So it's sort of picking and choosing which questions to answer and which to maybe leave for someone else, Yahoo Answers, to answer.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're getting some Yahoo Answers type questions on there, and answers, I'm willing to bet. So, yeah, basically being able to select the right questions or questions that make sense. I mean, that's something you could probably seed, right? I mean, you could have, I'm not saying that you're doing that, but someone could go through and put better questions and better answers onto the site itself. I'm sure that does happen.
Yeah, possibly.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the traffic and earnings here. Give me a breakdown on like organic versus referral versus direct versus social. What are the percentages and breakdowns?
I mean, from what we can track, the predominant source is Google or the other search engines. So we specifically target and build the site to rank for certain keywords that we think we can rank for. So the majority of traffic is through search.
Okay. Are there a few keywords? Is there like, 2 or 3, 20,000 exact matches a month keywords that you rank really well for, or does most of that come from a variety of keywords?
There is a very big variety. The biggest keyword we're ranking for is only about 4,000 a month.
Okay.
So it is built up over a very broad spectrum of keywords. So it does make the site a little bit more robust than we're ranking for one term. There are a lot of long tail and a significant amount of research went into the site, and which again the numbers show the result from that.
Gotcha. So, and looking at the site, looking at the earnings, and any potential buyers can check it on the listing, but there is a real growth aspect to the site. It's continued to grow. It looks like it's stabled out a little bit the last couple of months. How stable do you think a new buyer can expect those earnings to remain? I mean, no one's a future teller, but where do you think that's going to go?
Sort of hope that the site would level out at maybe $9,000, $9,500 a month. It's interesting to see the site continue to rank for some keywords that we weren't necessarily targeting, keywords that I thought it shouldn't rank for, as in there are a few keywords creeping up on our radar that will be more related e-commerce ranking sites for that in the top 10 for Google. So there is more potential there, but I think we're getting there. There's probably a little bit more upside left for a buyer to pick up, but I think it should start to level out about now. So.
Gotcha. How much content is added to the site, and how much needs to be added monthly by the new buyer?
No content needs to be added. I think there's a very good return on investment if you do want to add content. Every now and then we might do some more keyword research, find a relatively small term or medium term and add it to the site. Because the site's already established with a quite significant DA and PA now, even for decently competitive keywords, we can get them ranking in sort of 3 to 6 months, which is nice. The links are there, the sites are there, so you can, pay a decently qualified writer $20 to put up a decent article and start making money on that, relatively quickly.
How much content is on the site now?
There's about 80 pages on the whole website. Now that's broken up into about 22, 23 of those pages are what we call sort of the buyer's guides, and they're the ones that really make most of the revenue. There's another 43 pages of specific product reviews, and they help bulk out the site and give the site a bit of authority. And then there's another 14 or so sort of more informational pieces, some scientific research stuff about, things in bathrooms and how-to guides and fun facts kind of stuff. And that helps sort of generate some sort of natural interest, because otherwise most people aren't sharing and commenting on, bathroom product reviews. It's a bit dry topic unless you're actually wanting to renovate your bathroom or something. So that helps sort of give a bit of flavor to the site and helps get some natural links and social shares to the site.
I think it's interesting. Well, I think it's helpful for potential buyers to know they're not buying, thousands of pages of content. I mean, we're looking at a total of less than 100 pages too. I can tell you that that'll make our migration a little easier and a little more straightforward as well. So that's helpful. So there's not a ton of content on there. There is more opportunity and ROI potentially for adding content. Let's actually talk a little bit more about that. Let's talk about the opportunities with this site. If, someone buys this and they want like the least risky path towards growth, what would you recommend they focus on?
Yeah, the easiest and most beginner level is just continue to expand the products and keywords on the site. I mean, it's a very simple site. It's some of the best advice we got was don't do a specific product in the URL. So the branding of the site is all generated sort of around that bathroom area. So anything you can think of that can do with a bathroom can pretty much go on this site. So there's the world's your oyster there to find keywords. Find a decent writer, get them to review products and pop it up on the site, and you'll get a good return on that. That's the simplest, easiest way.
The simplest, easiest way, what would be like, do you think, more intermediate or advanced way to approach this?
So next one, we've considered this and discussed it quite a bit, Kevin and myself, is there's a whole potential there for the repair type keywords. So here we've got sort of the new products and product reviews. Often for some of the more advanced bathroom products, you might need a plumber to either install it or repair it. So potentially there's a really good opportunity for AdSense to be added to the site. On different pages, I would keep it quite separate, but on the same site, targeting, plumbing repairs and your plumbing installations. And I think there's quite a good vein for people to go a little bit more advanced, a little bit of a change in the monetization strategy, because the site has quite a bit of authority and content and it looks legitimate as well. It's not just your sort of little 5-page affiliate niche site. I think it could do quite well.
I like that. And, as you mentioned, I would probably try and keep it off of the product pages. I don't want to dip into my Amazon earnings for for these types of earnings, that would be problematic. But you mentioned AdSense. I actually think there's a much better way to do that. We used to work with a lead company that specifically handled like service related inquiries. So plumbers, electricians, door installations, these types of things. And they'll pay out a fairly significant amount of money, $20, $30, $40 per lead for these types of people, especially if those jobs are larger. So, I mean, maybe you could test it with AdSense, but I think, actually doing, lead generation for one of the larger companies that kind of pools those together and sells them to the actual, service guys, I think you can make some good money there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What would you do if you wanted to take a much more like risky path toward growth? Like, I want to triple this site's earnings inside of 12 or 18 months, and I want to be aggressive about it. What would you recommend?
2 strategies. One would be to get into a very aggressive sort of SEO strategy where you'd be trying to target some of the bigger, more corporate keywords for bathroom products. Really try and nail down some of the e-commerce terms. That is probably, I personally probably wouldn't go in that direction unless you had that sort of skills or network and, really compete with the big guns on those kind of review sites. Because we're only sort of playing in the, in the shallow end of the keywords that, our biggest keyword again is like 4,000 monthly searches, and it's all the long tail stuff that we're capturing. Other option is to try and get the margin on your products that are being sold through the site right up there, whether that's through drop shipping, whether that's through even being really adventurous and finding your own product out there to rebrand. Again, because it's a bathroom, you might leave the well-performing pages on the site, leave that to Amazon, but there'd be lots of room for smaller products, more common items to be, shipped by yourself even, or for that matter from a, Chinese warehouse or something like that.
Yeah, and you could go through that without messing with the current monetization structure, just adding new pages of content where those products specifically are being drop shipped or something. And then you could test, like, would Amazon have been better here? Like, you can actually do some split testing on that to see what makes sense. I'd actually like to see more of that. I don't know of a product that does that, but I'd love to see like a plugin or app that helps you split test drop shipping versus Amazon, right? Like, we'll randomly throw up a page and tell you which one converts better in terms of, getting someone to click through and check it out. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
I mean, for us personally, I'm a bit of a sucker for Amazon. Yes, they only pay 8%, but I don't have any suppliers. I don't have any customers. I can just sit there and let Amazon convert my visitors. So, yeah, we're a bit of a sucker for Amazon.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Let's talk a little bit about the risks. I mean, the site was created in January 2014, so this is a relatively early site, and we're asking for more than you've made on the site overall. Like, what do you see as the risks that a buyer might need to be aware of for the site?
Yep, exactly right. There's 2 main risks. The first one is competition for the space. There's going to be people who eventually come into this space. Some of the mitigators against that risk is we do have quite good content. I wrote most of the content at first myself, and then Kevin did a lot of editing. And you've also got a bit of a first mover advantage in this space as well. And again, the site is, very well built and designed well for conversion. So against the competition, they've got some, bit of a barrier there for the site. It's quite large for the niche it's in, and it's getting social shares, and Q&A section helps with all that sort of stuff. The second is definitely Google. The majority of traffic comes from Google search. Mitigating that is there is a private blog network that is ours, and that's sitting behind this very solid and very private PBN, and it's also helping with the good content on there, getting organic links, growing the social shares. So there's an increasing natural link profile being attracted by some of the what we call money content, the more fun facts and all that sort of stuff. So it's reducing the reliance on the PBN. It's also a big site. So, it's, looks better in the eyes of Google than those 5-page sort of niche sites. And also, again, because it is quite broad, there's no one term that if it dropped off, you would see a sort of significant decrease in revenue. You've got those sort of 20 pages across the board there. So, with a bit of churning of SEO and, just keeping rolling with the Google punches as it is, the site should last a very, very long time.
So 2 biggest risks, competition, someone else, getting in the space and trying to outrank you and you going to war with competitors. And that's one of the reasons we've kept the URL here for the site private so that people aren't, directly competing against it. But the other one being Google, because most of the traffic is organic. And some of the things you've done for that is you have some private blog networks that are truly private, that are just your blog network. What's to keep you from, let's say, removing the links, 2 months after purchase and applying to your own site moving forward?
Yeah, great question. In the listing, you'll see we've got about $150 for a cost for those links. So we wanted to make sure there was an actual dollar incentive for us to keep the blogs up and running live and all that sort of stuff. So there'd be a PayPal subscription or something to us continuing for those links, and that reduces the price or the profit of the monthly average profit of the site. So it takes a shaving off the sale price of the site, and then gives that to us to maintain those links, which I think is just good business practice, that we can see every month in our bank account $150 for continuing work in managing the sites.
You're happy to get the money, but I actually think it's a good idea for the buyer. We actually had a buyer that came through and with PBN links basically set it up the same way. Like, look, I want to pay you monthly to keep these links in place. You remove these links, you stop getting paid, and so there's incentive for the seller to keep them.
Absolutely, absolutely. The second reason is we're a second seller with you guys. We sold a site, a much smaller site, about a year ago with you guys. And it's part of our business strategy. So we want to maintain a really good reputation with you guys and the market in general. So hopefully when they say, oh, there's another site for sale by Richard and Kevin, hey, they did all right the last few sales. These guys are genuine. These guys build really good sites. These guys make money.
Cool, Richard.
Etc. So we have a sort of vested interest in keeping everything on the level and doing everything right by the buyer and you guys.
Cool, Richard. Let's talk a little bit about the work required. Can you describe to me the amount of work that you guys are doing on the site right now to maintain it?
Very little. It's nice. It's a good little site for that. The main sort of hands-on thing I do is just checking that the Amazon products are still there. I don't want to be promoting out-of-stock items. So, because I don't get paid if there's if there's an out-of-stock item that's sitting number one on our pages there. Users, when they get to Amazon, they're generally pretty good at finding a replacement product, or Amazon's pretty good at suggesting, hey, this one's out of stock, try this one. But I don't like adding that extra click to get paid. So about every month, we'll go through, or we've got a VA who goes through and just clicks the links and just checks that products are still available. There's not a new model update or all that sort of stuff. Most of the products on the site are pretty popular, and they're either shipped by Amazon or the big sort of bathroom product suppliers. So they're very rarely out of stock. I mean, I did the review only a few days ago, post-Christmas stuff, and there was nothing out of stock. So that's sometimes an hour a month, and yeah, it's pretty easy.
Cool. Generally ask next, what skills or requirements are there for someone that's not familiar with the niche? But I mean, everyone should be pretty familiar with a bathroom. But let's talk,
absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about what they may need to know. I mean, the site's built on WordPress. It's monetized via Amazon. So honestly, for someone just getting started, those are relatively easy platforms to work on. I mean, there's a ton of WordPress tutorials out there. Amazon is one of the major affiliates in the world and are pretty straightforward in terms of getting that up and running. So that's pretty straightforward. What unique skill sets do you think would help someone, though, that looking to buy this site and run it?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's very, very simple. I mean, a little bit of salesmanship when thinking about, what people are looking for when you're adding new content, a little bit of general site maintenance knowledge, how to do a backup or, outsource that to someone. Just everything's done for you on this site. You can expand it a little bit or, it's just keeping the wheels running.
Gotcha, Richard. Okay, let's talk about some additional questions that generally come up in these types of calls. Would you be willing to sign a non-compete? I mean, one of the things that buyers are worried about or potentially worried about is that, right after you sell the site, 2 months later, you start competing with them on the same terms and the same niche. Is that something you're willing to agree not to do in writing?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. And again, really the thing that stops us, basically pirating what would be your site again is our reputation. We, put a bit of value on that because we want to continue to sell sites and keep our business running along those lines. So, but yeah, definitely happy to sign it in writing as well.
Gotcha. Now, sometimes depending on the site, a lot more support is required to kind of take over and deal with the handover process and get people up to speed. I think there's a lot less with this one, but how much support are you willing to give for someone that is looking to kind of get started and roll with this?
Yep, I think we said 30 days email and 2 hours of Skype calls if necessary. But it should be really, really simple.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I think it probably would be. The next question, are you open to a split or an earn-out? And we've seen these, especially for larger sites sometimes, where a buyer comes in and says, look, I'm willing to do 70% up front and 30% after the 30 days has been transferred, and I feel comfortable with the site, and I'll do another 30%. Or, 60% up front, and I'll do 10% over the next 4 months based on hitting certain goals or revenue achievements. Is that something you're open to?
Yeah, I say yes. Never say never. The only concern is a bit of default risk, but that can all be worked out.
Yeah, cash up front, 100% is probably the option you like better, but you're open to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's do a quick wrap up. The site was built in January 2014. It's in the Amazon affiliate space. It's in the home and garden industry, and the niche is specifically showers. It makes just under $9,000 a month in net profit. We have $8,765.31. It's getting over 30,000 page views per month, and the PBN links that you've built will remain. They'll be sending you a fee of $150 a month, which we've already baked into the pricing on the site. Richard, if you give me kind of your best pitch in like 30 to 60 seconds on why someone should purchase the site.
Yeah, we think it'll be a strong earner and for a long time to come. It's really easy to manage. It's on WordPress and Amazon. It's optimized for speed and has a really good design for conversions. It's got great traffic at 30,000 people a month, and the earnings, which are also increasing at this rate. We hope to see, generally, the Google Trends is suggesting that going into the American summer should even have higher keyword volumes. So it's good there. Very low touch, no suppliers and no direct customer contact unless you want to keep that Q&A section going, which is easy content. And you can expand the site or add other Amazon sites to sort of instantly get up to that 8.25% commission. So overall, just a really good and really solid website investment.
Awesome, Richard. Really appreciate you being on this with me. If anyone wants to check it out, it's listing 40148, and it's currently available for sale on empireflippers.com. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for your time.